I thought it was a phenomenal fight. I think you watch the fight in two ways. You watch it live and you react to it immediately because you saw a fight where two guys came to fight. Joe Joyce and Joseph Parker were admirable in the way that they fought. It was a slugfest. Joe Joyce is an incredible athlete. And then you watch it secondly, when you watch it back without the emotion, about the engagement, about the live stuff, and you see things slightly differently. What it was a tremendous performance by two guys. I think Joseph Parker couldn't believe how strong Joe Joyce was. This is somebody that seems to take far more punishment than you'd want any fighter to take and doesn't seem to have any reaction to it, doesn't blink, just keeps on walking forward. He may be ponderous, he may be slow, he may not be as technically as gifted as some of these fighters, and Joseph Parker at times hits him with shots that you really think, well, there's real technical ability there, but he made no dent. He made no dent, and Joe Joyce just... I mean, you're watching where Jim and I was so close to the ring, you could actually physically see what the emotion on the fighters' faces are. And Joe Joyce just doesn't blink. He's getting hit with absolute hurlers of shots and not even a dent.
Is that what impressed you when you were watching it on Saturday night? The durability?
Yeah, but it's how little impact Parker's shots had on Joe Joyce. I mean,
it's incredible, Graeme.
At 37, he's getting better and better. Phenomenal athlete. You know, he's been blessed with great genes. What a size. You know, he's athletic. And he's got a chin that... Could you tell me someone's got a better chin than that?
Absolutely. I mean, Joseph Parker, I think Joseph Parker about round 3 started to gas, because I don't genuinely believe he could believe what he was seeing in front of him.
How disheartening must that be? When you get your best shots off,
the point.
And the guy just keeps coming forward and having no impact.
That's the point I said to him, and I said to Joe Joyce as well. It must be so dispiriting when someone is hitting. I mean, he had a real go, Parker. You know, he had a real go, and Joe Joyce just kept on walking him down. The level of fitness, the level of durability, the resilience, the whole...
Simon, you're an aficionado.
Well, I certainly love it.
How would Tyson do with Joe Joyce?
Fury, I think he'd have a lot of trouble with him. I think because Tyson is a far more gifted fighter than Joe Joyce, but he wouldn't be able to use his size too much because Joe Joyce is huge. I'm not sure he's got the punch power to knock out Joe Joyce. I think he'd give him a lot of trouble.
It was interesting, actually, when Jim jumped into the ring to speak to Tyson straight afterwards. He gave his instant reaction to the fight, ringside, to talkSPORT on Saturday.
I thought it was one of the best heavyweight fights I've seen in a long time. Credit to both men, they put on a great fight.
Joe Joyce was so strong, wasn't he?
Very big, strong man, but if he ever fights me, I'll show you what strong is.
What would you say about Parker's resilience?
Parker showed very good bravery, big a lot of heart. Credit to both men, big respect. Great fight.
Would you fancy a fight with Joyce?
I fancy a fight with anybody.
You still waiting for Joshua?
Yeah, my man's
I mean, you got the impression that he's still waiting for Anthony Joshua. But he did also go on to say that Joyce can beat Joshua and Usyk, and actually he's one of the top 3 heavyweights in the world. Is he just sizing up an alternative opponent?
He said a lot of things, you know, and I was very disappointed after the fight that the media scrum around Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora was all about Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua and Derek Chisora, and not the 2 guys in the ring that just fought an absolutely phenomenal fight. So I was quite disappointed with that. I think Joyce gives anybody trouble. I think he gives Joshua trouble. I think he gives Fury trouble. I think he gives Usyk trouble. Whether his style, whether the fact that he is incredibly resilient and doesn't seem to be able to be knocked out by anybody is going to win him a world title, because you've got technicians like Usyk that can get in and out, they've got brilliant footwork and angles that are going to buzz around him like a mosquito, just scoring off him, and maybe can beat him over 12 rounds. You've got people like Deontay Wilder that can hit harder than anybody else, and whether Joe Joyce can withstand that sort of concussive power is a debate, but I saw nothing. Parker hit him. I mean, hit him and hit him and hit him. And he was so brave, Parker, because after 3 rounds, I do think he was running out of energy, and he kept on going for another 8 rounds, kept on digging in. You watch him sit in the corner. They had to sit him down a few times because he couldn't catch his breath. They were having to sit him down to get him to calm himself down because he was so up and he couldn't breathe. But the whole nature of the fight, and Tyson was right, this is one of the best heavyweight fights. When you look back on it, yes, you could say, if you want to be a purist, that stylistically Joe Joyce is like the mummy. He walks forward in a straight line like George Foreman did.
He's the juggernaut. But he's an unbelievable athlete.
At 37, he looks fresh.
Unbelievable. His energy, his cardio is beyond anything that's out there.
Usyk, I'm a complete amateur, novice, talking about boxing, so help me. So you're talking about Usyk being a fantastic technician. Tyson Fury, the same. Great feet, great hands, great movement, clever. But for 12 rounds, they'd have to pick Joe Joyce off and in 12 rounds not get clipped by him.
But that's what they can do. I mean, you saw how...
Could both of them do that?
Well, Chisora showed you how to fight against Usyk because he was a heavyweight that was big and leant all over Usyk and used his weight. But Usyk still won the fight and negotiated it, and everyone thought that's not very impressive, and that's perhaps the reason why Anthony Joshua took it on the basis of that and then got a very different version of Usyk. Fury did 12 rounds with Deontay Wilder. He got pinged by Deontay Wilder in the first fight, got knocked down, got up in the 12th round and drew a 12-round fight. So they can do it. But Joe Joyce is such... I don't think Tyson Fury has the lack of belief in himself that ultimately that hitting Joe Joyce and not knocking him out would be a concern for him.
Can I ask you a question again? Where does Tyson Fury stand in all-time greats? He has to be up there.
Well, I'm a huge fan of Tyson's. I'm not impressed with the conduct recently over the Joshua situation because I find it puerile and unedifying that these two guys are conducting themselves in the public domain like we're all waiting with egg timers to see whether they're going to sign his bleeding contract or not. I think generationally, he's the one that changed the heavyweight division because he beat Vladimir Klitschko and opened up all the belts. Joshua came along and gave it the stardust and was an express train economically. But unless he starts fighting other fighters than Deontay Wilder, it's difficult for me to continue this love-in with Tyson because he's beaten Deontay Wilder 3 times. If you know you can beat a guy, fighting them 3 times is not a blueprint. You need to beat other guys too.
Yeah, but if people don't want to fight you. People don't. If AJ doesn't want to fight him.
But AJ and the last fight they could have had was Tyson's fault. He signed a contract with Deontay Wilder, thought he could get out of that contract. So the fight with Joshua first time round couldn't happen because he couldn't get out of his obligations to...
But what's the problem this time? Because this time we're in a situation now where we've had deadlines, we've been talking about it for a long time, contracts are supposed to have been prepared.
We haven't been talking about it for a long time.
We've been talking about it for a reasonable amount of time.
How long has he had that contract on the table?
2 weeks.
All right. A good contract lawyer does not need 2 weeks.
Well, depends what contract state he's in. No, I agree with you. I've sold businesses that have taken less time to sell than this fight has been made to make. But if you've got a contract that's been written with one person's mindset in it involved, this is basically the contract.
Still negotiating.
The contract, I believe, is basically Frank Warren saying 60-40. I'm not going to tell you what that 60-40 looks like in terms of how we get the broadcasters involved, what the obligations are upon you. But here it is. Sign it. Get on with it. If you're Anthony Joshua, there's 2 ways you can look at it. I'm getting an opportunity that I shouldn't be getting because ultimately I've got nothing to bring to the table besides a tarnished reputation and a desire for the British public to see this fight. The other side of it is, why should I just take exactly what you put in front of me? I don't like the way this is being negotiated by Tyson Fury. He's trying to bully Joshua into taking a fight early. He wants him to fight in November the 12th, 8-9 weeks after...
They've agreed December now, right?
They've agreed December the 3rd. But if the contract that Frank has put in front of people is a contract that is not fit for purpose, then you do need to get a contract that works. It's a 2-way negotiation,
Absolutely.
not one.
Adam Catterall said this morning on The Breakfast Show, around about 7:30, that these two camps have got a duty of care to the sport of boxing to get this fight made. Because if they don't get this fight made at this juncture, then people are going to start to lose interest and lose faith in the sport because they want to see this big super fight.
I don't disagree. And with the Parker, say for example, the Parker-Joyce fight, the difficulty in making that fight was extreme because of the 2 entrenched camps. I got involved with Ben and helped the situation with Frank and Ben to make a fight between Parker and Joyce and removed some of the lack of objectivity. In this situation, I make Eddie Hearn... Listen, this is a contract about a fight that's going to be worth 75 million quid. If you sell a building for 75 million quid or a business, you have due diligence, you make sure the contract fits purpose and everybody gets to what they want to get to.
2 weeks.
You pay... Well, you've
this is negotiation.
In the middle of it, Graeme, you've had the Queen passing away, you've had people standing down from doing jobs. There's been lots of other reasons behind it. I think that there should be a better delivery of this, but I also think that it's not the Tyson Fury show. It's not just about Tyson.
Do you think it's not edifying that it's being played out in public and you keep getting these sort of social media sort of responses and then somebody else comes out and says, I mean, this is what Tyson Fury said on Fight Night at the weekend.
Monday is the deadline. If they don't sign the contract by Monday, he's out the window and he'll be exposed for the he is.
And then this is what Anthony Joshua said as a result of that.
I've been signing contracts for years. It ain't in my hands, it's with a legal team. That's why you hire lawyers. If you know the history of boxing, make sure you get your legal terms right. That's why you got good management and good lawyers to make sure you get your business. You know, so how you handled your business while you was in the game. So of course I'm going to sign a contract. That's just with some lawyers at the minute. Enough boxing. That's what I do for a living.
And then obviously he released a social media rap, is that right, this morning, where we played it out a little bit earlier on the show, where he sort of said, yes, I'm going to sign a contract.
Well, contractual terms, Graeme is probably right to suggest there's a negotiation going on in the middle of it, but but disagreeing with certain principles of a contract doesn't mean it's a negotiation. It means that the contract isn't in the best form it should be. Now, you can say, right, and there's a point to be made that it should take less time than 2 weeks. If you're getting a reasonable response from the other side, if you're saying, I can't work with this clause isn't equitable or fair, I need to have a change, and the other side is saying, no, you get on with it.
Do you think they want
That's
to
not
fight?
negotiation, that's
Really?
autocracy.
Do you think they really want to fight?
I think
this?
Joshua does, yeah. I think Joshua does, yeah.
So you don't think Fury does?
I think Fury is using Joshua as a sprat to catch a mackerel to get Usyk. I think Fury will fight Manuel Charr. I think that he wants Usyk. I think there's a lot more going on behind the scenes. Some people might suggest there's even an agreement in place between Usyk and Fury that they fight. But in the middle of it, there's no fight between Fury and Joshua because there's too much risk in that fight, and that might jeopardise Undisputed. There's a lot of theories about why this isn't happening. I just don't feel the necessity to keep hearing Tyson Fury say 1 minute he's retiring, next minute he's fighting Derek Chisora, next minute he's fighting Anthony Joshua, then he's going to fight Manuel Charr, now he wants to fight Usyk. And by the way, Anthony Joshua, you are lucky, so you do what I say when I say. I'll pick dates that don't suit anybody but me.
What we're guilty of? We're guilty of not talking about Joe Joyce and how fabulous he was.
Well, absolutely.
Is there a danger that AJ will miss out here because of the British public might say the fight we really want to watch would be Joyce and Fury?
If you saw what I saw, and I said it to various media outlets, I was really irritated and agitated about two pugilists in a fight that was the fight of the year, and all Gareth A. Davis and everyone else was interested in was going over to Tyson Fury and Derek Chisora and talking about Joshua. And I looked at Tyson and I thought, how disrespectful, Tyson. This wasn't about you. This was about these two guys in a ring that have put on an absolutely fabulous performance. And we're not talking about them. We're talking about you and Anthony Joshua. Sign the bleeding fight. Don't sign the fight. In the end, you'll either fight or you won't. It's not life-changing for anybody, is it?
So let's hear from Joe Joyce, because he spoke to Jim straight after his win, and this was his thoughts.
Really happy with my performance, and it was a tough fight all the way to the end. Respect to Joseph Parker, what a warrior. He took everything I had apart from that left hook at the end. But I enjoyed the fight, and I look forward to watching it back.
Were you worried that you might not see him out of there? He seemed to be coming through everything that you were throwing at him.
Yeah, he was a tough guy and kept on coming forward, throwing shots and coming with new things. Like if I switched off or didn't get my hands back, he was on the end of like a couple shots to the body or head. He was technical as I thought, and good footwork. I think he was like stepping back and avoiding my shots, and it's like making it like hard work to land as I thought. But yeah, I really had to push hard towards the end.
I'm going to ask you in a moment what you think will happen next, but Joe, can I ask you, if it had gone the other way tonight, was it over for you?
No way. I'm still pretty fresh in the sport, and I could come again. But you know, I just showed the world how good I am, and there's still more to come from it, from the Juggernaut.
Well, you sure did. So what's to come for the Juggernaut?
Well, I'm gonna go on holiday, rest up, and recover some R&R, and get back to Vegas again, and then go for the next one.
And the next one with whom? Who would you ideally like?
Usyk or Fury, or I don't know, but I want to get them titles, and then. Well, it's Usyk.
So you would fancy Usyk? I spoke to Fury and he said he would fight you.
Oh yeah, that's an interesting prospect.
Let's do it.
You're listening to talkSPORT. That was Joe Joyce speaking to Jim White straight after winning on Saturday. A fabulous victory.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.